Hey YouTube, this is Steven. Welcome to my new channel, Simple Tesla Life. And I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. As you can see, I'm in my car. The car that I'm driving is a Chevy Volt, a 2018. And I thought I'd just talk a little bit about why I'm starting this channel and the decision that my wife and I have made recently to get into a Tesla and take you on our journey with us as we go down the path of buying a Tesla and then using it naturally and putting it to work in our lives and seeing how having a car that's fully electric works for us. So a little bit more background on myself. We live in Colorado, moved here a couple of years ago. Prior to that, we lived in the Kansas City area for a good 20 plus years. Originally, my wife and I are from the Mountain West, so coming back to Colorado was actually a move in the direction of our families. And certainly, having grown up in the Mountain West, we loved the outdoors and loved the mountains. But being away in the Midwest for over 20 years, I think coming back was just a real excitement for us, being able to come back and have the mountains close by again and just be able to do all the outdoor kinds of activities you do when you're out here, especially in Colorado. So anyway, we've been here for a couple years now. Like I said, I'm driving a Chevy Volt today, and this car I purchased not quite 2 years ago. It's been a great car. I've absolutely loved it. It was the first car that really, I guess, moved me forward from being, prior to that I'd had Priuses, and Priuses were good cars as well. Certainly introduced me to hybrid vehicles and better gas mileage, those sorts of things. But the Volt has really taken that to a whole nother level and really, in my opinion, really got me excited about going fully electric. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the Volt for me has been great because my commute into work is about 20, maybe 22 miles one way. So round trip, it's, under 50. And I have the ability to charge at work if I need to, although the Volt can get me there and back without having to charge. But, typically I will top off at work. And the drive in and drive back is fully electric. So 98 to 99% of the miles and the driving that I do in this car is fully electric. There's only a handful of times that I've gone long distances and needed to put gas in it. And the way, for those of you that don't know or haven't seen or used a Chevy Volt before, but it's an electric car with a battery pack. I want to say it's like 16 kilowatt hour battery pack, something like that. And it has a range in the summertime. I get upwards of, it usually starts at about 64. I've had it go a little over 70 miles before when it's really efficient. And in the winter time, it takes a hit. It goes into the 50s, sometimes lower 50s. And if it's really super cold, like an extended period of time below freezing, below zero, then I will typically see a range of upper 40s, like 48, 49. Again, those are rare occasions because it doesn't typically stay super cold, below zero here in Colorado, at least where I'm living. So I know other parts of Colorado it certainly does, but so my driving back and forth is just 98 to 99% fully electric. And yet the car has the sort of, if you will, the insurance policy of it's got a gas motor in it that produces electricity. It's like a generator. And so when you run out of the electric power in the battery, it switches over and the gas engine starts and it produces electricity, which then drives the electric motor. So I'll give you an example. It was Labor Day weekend this past weekend. My wife and I made a couple of trips. We went down to Colorado Springs. We live in the Denver metro area, a little outside, and but we went down to Colorado Springs, charged up the car at the house before we left, and by the time we got down there, the battery had depleted. So the rest of the driving that day was using the gas generator on the car in extended driving mode. And from a distance perspective, like I said, I can get the summertime upwards of 64 to 65 miles of range on the battery, and then that certainly depends, right? If you're going into the mountains, if you're climbing in elevation, going over to Colorado Springs, there's some ups and some downs. So there's some points where you're gaining, there's some points where it's taking away at a much higher rate from the battery. But anyway, it works for us, and it's worked really well. With the gas, you put in about the gas prices of today of around $3. I think for $16 I filled the gas tank up, and it'll go 300 and I think it's like 60 or 70 miles just on the gas engine, and then you add in the 64 miles, it's 400 plus, around 440 or something like that of range. Those aren't the exact numbers, you can look them up on the web on Chevy's website. But so anyway, went down to the Springs, had a great time. And also the other day, on Labor Day, actually, we went and did some whitewater rafting up in the mountains and took the Volt as well. So when it's fully electric, right, I mean, it's just I'm never having to worry about putting gas in it. Like I said, 98 to 99% of what I do driving back and forth to work, it's just wonderful. And it's those few instances where I take longer drives, but I haven't done a lot of trip monitoring where I've looked at the efficiencies, but I think Chevy says that, on average, if you're using the gas engine all the time, it would get around 41 or 42 miles per gallon, I think is where it averages. Again, certainly you can probably get better than that in a summertime driving mode, and I'm sure it goes below that in a wintertime driving. So anyway, that's been my reason for having the Volt. The decision now to get into a Tesla is really driving a Volt. I think really has caused me to think about how much I love electric vehicles. I just love getting into a car and it's just quiet when you're driving. All you hear is the road noise, and naturally you're going to get that from any car, but it is just super quiet. And getting into a car that has any kind of engine noise, for me at least, isn't as enjoyable. I know there's car enthusiasts that love the engine, and for a sports car, I think having an engine that has that growl and that sound is fun. But for my utility and what I'm looking for, I just love the quiet of the cabin with an electric vehicle. The other things I love about the electric vehicle experience is it is wonderful not to have to hit the gas station. Again, I can charge this up at home, and I don't have to go into a gas station. But I think in the almost 2 years that I've owned it, I've probably gone into a gas station maybe 5 or 6 times, but not anymore, maybe than that for sure. So it is wonderful just not having to make those stops anymore. And the other thing that is so much fun about is the peppiness of the vehicle. Now, naturally, a Tesla, I know they can hit their 0 to 60 times in a little over 3 seconds for the performance models. I'm not big. I know for me personally, the performance side is not what I'm looking for. I actually enjoy just the regular performance of being able to hit the pedal and have that power and the torque right there to take you wherever you want to go. It is so much fun to drive a peppy electric motored vehicle, and I've really enjoyed it. The Volt, again, is not what I would consider a comparison to a Tesla at all by that measure, but it is fun to drive, and it has a sport mode, and you put it in the sport mode and the pedal is very responsive, and it pulls off the line very well compared to most internal combustion engines or ICE, I guess, vehicles. And so that is a lot of fun. The other aspect of it that I quite enjoy is especially with the elevation gains and losses here in Colorado, it's just so enjoyable to be able to climb, and certainly it takes out of the battery at a higher rate, but then you hit the other side and you're going down and the engine goes off, and then if the battery here is depleted on the Volt, that gas engine will turn off, the electric will kick in, and it pulls the energy back into the car, puts it right back into the battery as you're descending. We we went on a trip into the mountains the other day for whitewater rafting, went up and down several mountain passes, and especially coming home, there was a stretch probably for at least 40 or 50 miles where it was just almost a constant descent. And again, the engine never ran. We were putting electricity back into the car, and the car's functioning, the air conditioning's on, everything's, all your comforts and music and everything's working, and the car's just giving you electricity because of the descent that you're taking on, and you're not using any brakes. So I guess that leads to my last point, which is I love not thinking about some of the maintenance that you normally would think about on a nice again, an internal combustion engine. So that trip the other day where I was doing these ups and downs, and particularly the descents, every other car on the road is hitting their brakes. Every time the brake lights come on. When my brake lights are coming on, it's not brakes. It's the regenerative braking aspect of this vehicle where either by just taking my foot off the pedal, it automatically knows to start slowing the vehicle down through regenerative braking, and it puts power back into the battery pack. But it also, I have a little pedal on the side, or a hand pedal on the steering wheel that I can press, and it gives an even higher boost of internal electrical capture from the energy of the vehicle, the wheels. And so when we were coming down some of those long descents, while all these other cars around us are using their brakes, which every time they're using their brakes, they're looking towards a brake pad change and brake maintenance and wheel work eventually in the life of the vehicle to get in there and have to mess with the brakes. I'm not having to worry about any of that. I did not hit my brakes maybe but 2 or 3 times on Labor Day for a couple 250 mile round trip, and again, a ton of that driving was through very steep mountainous terrain, and the only times I did hit the brake is when I'm maybe coming to a stop and I need to hit the brake just at the very end to stop the vehicle. It's not because I'm going down a mountain pass too fast. This vehicle, if I hit the regenerative braking paddle on the side of the steering wheel, it slows me down almost always to where I need to be. And again, it's putting electricity and power right back into the vehicle. I just love that. It's just an incredible sort of sense of, you think to yourself, why doesn't every car have this? Even cars that just run on gas, I would think, maybe just having a small battery in the car to run all the electricals. And I know some of the newer cars, they're doing this now, the start-stop technology, where you get to a stoplight and the car turns off, and then the engine kicks on again once the the light turns green and you need to go, and that's good. Again, I think any step in the direction of reducing the amount of gasoline and engine work that the vehicle has to do, I think is a good thing. But in my terms, I'm thinking, gee, even just like in those moments where, again, the vehicle's going downhill, if there was some sort of electrical system that managed the car's capabilities, right, in terms of steering, air conditioning, those cars also, if they had regenerative braking, could do the same thing. So anyway, the fully electric vehicle experience, I think, is definitely what I'm excited about, and being able to then not ever have to worry about going to a gas station. Now, there are a few, certainly downsides that have occurred with the Volt, and I'll kind of cover those right here. I think that for me, the one big downside, there's several, but the one big downside is the charge time. On the Volt, it is, it's a slow charge. I know the newest model, I think the 2019 model, they did put in a higher voltage or, charge per time charger. But in the one I had, the 2018, if you're running off of at best, if you're running off, say, I think a 240 outlet, at best you might be going to get, I think it's around 10 or so. Don't again, look it up on the website, but I want to say it's about 10 miles per hour of charge. I think maybe it's a little bit below that, 9 point something, but if I remember right, but it is a slow amount of charge if you have a 240 volt, and if you're just plugging into a regular 120 outlet, which that's what I do. I don't have the 240 yet at home to plug into, but I will need to get that with the Tesla. But I'm seeing charging where I have to charge overnight, and it's only charging, I think it's around 3 miles per hour, right? So charging up to get to 60. It takes a long time. It takes a number of hours. So that's one of the big downers. The other, I guess, downside is, when you use up that smaller battery pack, you are back on a gasoline experience, right? In terms of having to fill up but again, there's pros and cons to it, right? So I think you'd have to look at your use case. Again, I think this Volt is a great, what I like to call it, a bridge vehicle. It's a great bridge vehicle for people who are unsure if they, want to deal with the differences of driving electric, meaning changing, I guess, how you think about filling up the car, finding a place to charge once you get to a location. And again, I'll address this in later videos, but those options are just so much better now than they were just even a year and a half, 2 years ago, right? So it's really changed. Tesla has done more than any company, right, to change this, the experience of owning an electric vehicle. And again, more to come on that later. So anyway, I guess the other downside to this vehicle is it's smaller. The third, or the back row seat, they say it's a 3-seater in the back, but it isn't, unless you're putting a small child maybe in the middle. It's got a little bit of a raised middle part to the seat, and if I were to show it to you, but you can look online, it's not a real functional, certainly for adults, 3-seater in the back, whereas the Model 3, which is what I'm looking at getting from Tesla, is a full 3-seater in the back plus 2 up front, so a 5-seat vehicle. So when I've got older kids, them getting in the back of this car, it's not all that pleasant. In fact, it's downright crampy for them. And so I think having a bigger vehicle, that's going to be a big plus. Let's see. I think that probably covers it. I think you could argue the longevity of the Volts. You can see on YouTube, people are driving these cars and getting a lot of mileage out of them. Again, I'm sure I could keep this car and get a lot of mileage out of it. I will likely sell it and then get the Tesla. So I'm probably very soon going to be putting it up for sale, and then we'll order the Model 3 shortly thereafter. So anyway, I want to take everybody on this journey with me, and my wife as well. I'll include her in some of these videos, and I'm really excited about it. Right, like I said, I've thought a lot about it. I've thought a lot about pros and cons. I've thought a lot about which Model 3 to get. Maybe I'll touch on that just a little bit. Living in Colorado, it's probably a no-brainer. You would think you'd get the all-wheel drive. But I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of videos, watched a lot of people that own the rear-wheel drive vehicle, and in climates where they get a lot of snow, Canada and other places. And I think Tesla, again, has done a fabulous job with the drive train and the technology that's on the vehicle to manage, slippage. And I've been, from what I can see, if you put snow tires on a rear-wheel drive Model 3, it's as good as any other vehicle out there in terms of handling, as long as you're careful. Naturally, anybody driving in winter needs to be careful. It's not, let's just say it's stupid to take any vehicle out, whether it be front wheel or rear wheel drive, and drive it aggressively on icy or snowy roads. So the other thing I've thought a lot about is, if and I don't know if this is the case, I've looked and I didn't see it on Tesla's website, but if they made a long-range rear-wheel drive, I think I really would consider that. And I think they did early on. I don't see it offered on the Tesla website now, and maybe you can add in the comments if I'm missing something, or if they make it and only sell it in warmer, climates. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they sell it in California, but they don't sell it in Colorado, at least on the website. So if you're aware of that, let me know. But I think a long range, to me, the real key thing is actually it's more about the long range than it is about all-wheel versus rear-wheel drive. I think I could definitely make a rear-wheel drive car work here in Colorado. I've grown up around snow. I've driven in snow almost my whole life. I've been in hellacious snowstorms, driven through hellacious snowstorms and blizzards. I just know how to be as safe as I can be driving in those kind of conditions. And I think, again, a vehicle with good snow tires and a traction control system is going to be fine. It's going to do just fine. For resale value, I do think the all-wheel drive's a better play in Colorado or probably anywhere in the Mountain West. So I will probably get the long-range all-wheel drive, probably with full self-driving included. That's another debate I've been having with myself is, do I get it now? Do I wait? I know there's been talk, and I think Elon has said that they plan to increase the price of the full self-driving capability at some point. I think I believe that. I don't think he's just saying that. I mean, I guess he could be saying it just to try and stoke people to get it now, but I don't think he's saying that. I think that's real. I think once that feature is fully certified and available to the public, I do think that, and certainly I think they'll add more features to it, right? Because it's software working with hardware, so the things they can do with it, I'm sure, pretty much unlimited to what the mind can come up with. But I do think that will be something they'll do. I do think prices will raise on it. So I'm feeling I'll probably lock that in, make sure I get it, and then enjoy the vehicle. I could go on and on about the benefits that I've been thinking about and studying and researching on a Tesla, but those are maybe things for another video another time. So hopefully you like this channel. Hopefully you'll subscribe to it. I do have another, say, sister channel, Simple Tech Life. I haven't put hardly any videos on it. I started it a number of years ago and then just didn't do anything with it. But I actually want to do something with both. This idea of Simple Tesla and Simple Tech is, to me, it's all about having technology be simple for people and to simplify our lives. I mean, I think it's both, right? I'm in my 50s. I'm not a young 20 or 30 something anymore, and I find that people, certainly in my generation and some even certainly older, like my mom, technology for them is sometimes frustrating, right? It doesn't work the way they want it to. Things don't seem intuitive to them. And my goal is to make technology accessible and easier for people to use. And my hope is that the videos that I put out will help people with that they'll simplify explanations on how things work in the car, how technology works, and how you can use technology, in my case, a lot of computer technology, how you can make that work for your life to both simplify your life and use it in a simple way. So that is really my goal, and I'm interested in your feedback. Certainly if you have suggestions for things you'd like me to cover, put those in the comments, and like I said, I'll get to them over, I'm sure, a period of time. So I appreciate you subscribing. Welcome to my channel, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks.